Hello, everyone. This is Rob Mazak. I am a psychic medium. As I usually start out my podcasts, I talk about the fact that I do podcasts on so many different subjects, all kinds of ideas, thoughts, things I've read about, things that I've had experiences with on my own, and those of my clients and people I've met, people I talk to. And I have officially been at this metaphysical practice for about 7-8 years now, something like that. And so I have a lot of interesting experiences to talk about. And I don't do anything scripted. I like to simply start with ideas or thoughts, or singular ideas or thoughts, and I will just roll with how it comes out and just let it happen and see where it takes us, where it takes me. And then we were just going to roll with it. And so tonight I wanted to talk about meditation. And I've talked about meditation a lot of times. I understand that. I guess it's because it is such a very integral and important part of the progression we have in this life. And we do come here, in my opinion, to have experiences. Some are determined, some are not. Sometimes we're told to come here. Sometimes we volunteer. We're going to talk about a lot of that stuff as we go along. But meditation really, really helps us understand and capture that knowledge and information about just about anything you would like to know or experience or understand that is outside of our normal consciousness. And I say that because there is a wealth of information that is encoded in everything that surrounds us, invisible most of the time, really accessible by our five senses. And so it is very difficult sometimes to understand. And a lot of people kind of laugh at it and mock about it, but it has become a lot more prevalent these days as people begin to quote unquote wake up and understand that there is a lot more outside of us. Now, whether we are here for one life and that's all we get, or we get many more, I mean, none of the things I'll talk about tonight can prove. We still have a path to walk through, to run through, to experience through, that will help us grow as a person and become something different and something better than we started at. We're not talking about the fact that you start as a baby and you become better as an adult. Yes, that's part of it, because that's experiential. It is an experience, yes, but it's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about growing spiritually, mentally, and becoming way more than just a human being here to work, eat, consume, and eventually die, which we all seem to will be meeting that fate. All of us will eventually make it to the death day, the day of death, yes, unless there's something else out there that none of us know. And I do believe that life goes on. I believe that it goes on in other experiences, different things like that. Now, meditation can be done many, many ways. And I'm going to talk about the one I did tonight. But I want to first kind of lay out some ground information, some base information. I had to talk about how I got to the point of meditating so well, at least in my opinion. And there are a million ways to meditate. I mean, if you went to go on the internet and look it up, you would find literally probably a million ways to do that. And so your way and my way and everybody's way is not wrong or right. It is what works for you. And I also want to talk about the fact that meditation is not necessarily sitting cross-legged on a mountaintop, smoking a pipe, and being in a monastery somewhere in Asia or something, smoke and mirrors and all that. And then sure, that's great. And some people like that, and some people do meditate well to that. I'm not mocking that. I'm just saying a lot of people have a misunderstanding about what meditation is, or what it can be, or maybe what it should be. Meditation is just a state of mind, a state of consciousness that allows you to kind of separate yourself from this reality, which we won't argue about what that is, but our world that we live in, our place we call home, is kind of embedded with normalities, normal things we do. We go to work, we eat, we sleep, we do all those things. And it's not necessarily part of our growth as a soul, in my opinion. Yes, we are here as a soul or a spirit to have a human experience. Yes, that's part of it. But I think it's much deeper than that. I think to have that experience the best, or to experience it better, is to have that connection with all that infinite wisdom and knowledge that is out there beyond ourselves. And it really helps us, I believe, to become a much better human being, a much better person that can help other people to progress. Because if we really do return over and over again in the reincarnation model, for example, and we keep coming back, perhaps because we're not really understanding the lessons, we're not getting through them, we're not actually graduating each lesson, however you like to look at that, then it is very imperative, I think, that we learn as much as we can and grow as much as we can so that we can progress in each life that we have after that. Will help us get closer and closer to that reunion with whatever the source is, God, the universe, however you want to look at that. Which we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But meditation can be a lot of different methods to it. Meditation can be as simple as walking after work. It could be sitting on your bed with no music on. It could be sitting on your bed with music on. It could be watching a fire, outside. It could be gardening. It could be all kinds of things. Anything that really kind of focuses your attention and brings you into that more of an alpha state. I say alpha state because our normal existence, our normal consciousness is what would be considered beta. I don't know where these names came from or how they really discovered them, but there's 4 basic levels of consciousness. So beta is our awareness of our day-to-day activities. Alpha is a deeper state what kind of separates us from what's going on around us, and it helps us focus in on something, some information, some task, something like that. I mean, for example, watching TV is like an alpha meditation or mode because it takes you into another world and it separates you from this one. I'm not saying watching TV is a good meditation. I mean, I guess it could be, but I think you understand that there's many levels of consciousness. And the alpha is kind of the one where most of us end up in meditation. If you continue down in consciousness to the theta level, which is that place right before you go to sleep, that place where you have dreams, a dream state, I guess you'd say, that is the ideal place for hypnosis, because then there you connect with the subconscious. Subconscious is connected with everything there is. It's like your internet hub or internet box in your house. It connects you to everything that's possible to know and to have. And then if you continue even farther, you're into delta, which is sleep. Now, I've talked to anesthesiologists, and they'll tell you there's probably 32 or 33 levels of consciousness. I don't know. There's probably a lot more than that. I mean, that's really too deep for a conversation like this or a simple mind like mine. But those are the main categories. Now, if you go through your day all the time and you stay in beta until you go to sleep and you go pass through that dream state, you may or may not remember it, cool, right? And then you go into sleep, delta, and then you hardly ever, hit the alpha state. And if you do, it's not because you're doing it on purpose and you're not doing it to connect, to find out more about yourself or create more wisdom or understand the universe better or whatever. Meditation is more, in my opinion, connecting with that alpha state where you can connect with an infinite amount of wisdom and knowledge and information, and doing that on purpose. And you gotta really practice at it most of the time. Some people are really good at it and they can learn it in a couple of sessions. And my youngest daughter, the first time we did a, not walking meditation, but a guided meditation together, she went right in. I mean, she was like experiencing stuff that took me years to understand. So some people can get it right away, and other people, it takes time. And for me, it took several months of really diligent work, practicing it every day and learning a method that kind of works that muscle memory of your consciousness to begin to connect and see things and learn things. And for me, it was a very simple process. It was simply taking a piece of music that was 20 minutes long, that was not very identifiable, just kind of some weird space pineal gland music, and there was no tune or words that I would catch my conscious mind on and follow. It was just something that kind of took away my attention from the world. And so it took me working through that 20 minutes for a while. It didn't take me anywhere. I just, found myself realizing I need to go to, the grocery store, or what did I miss today, or what I got to do tomorrow. And I really had to focus on bringing it back center. And it took a while to get to that space of alpha meditation in that 20 minutes. And then eventually it started happening quicker and quicker and quicker. Then eventually, as soon as I put the music in, it was like, so I got a whole 20 minutes of grand connection. And now I don't need the music. I mean, I can meditate standing up, sitting down, wherever. It doesn't matter. I'm driving. It's not difficult for me anymore. I mean, there are those days where it just doesn't work. I get it. We're human. But by and large, it is a practice that once you've done it for so long and you practice it over and over again, it's like working out at the gym. Even if you miss some days, or your weights seem to decrease in the amount that you can lift over time for some reason, I mean, you still get right back up and you can still do it. And there's a lot of memory there even if you stop doing it for a couple weeks because a lot's going on in life, just kind of walk right back into it. So I have learned a lot of cool things. I have been on a lot of really cool journeys through meditation. None that I can prove, I guess you'd say. I take that back. I have done some connections for people to situations that they were having or questions that they had about things in their life, or connecting to someone who has passed on for clients or even for myself. And I've been able to relay that information and it be accurate. So I guess in some ways you can prove things, especially if you're getting information about stuff that there's no way that you should know or no way that you should be able to do. That is probably at least proof for me. And I'm not saying it's proof for you guys. I don't expect you to believe me. I'm just passing on my experience, and hopefully it'll help you to perhaps do the same thing and to have the same experiences and to become a much better person than you are. I'm not saying you're a bad person. Everybody is wonderful. What I'm saying is that I think our purpose here in life, in this life, each life, is to learn and grow and become a better version of ourselves every day. And it's very difficult to do that just in our own power, our own consciousness. In our day-to-day business is very difficult because most of our day is filled up with family and kids and jobs and driving and cooking and all these things that don't necessarily make you a better human. It's a survival, not thriving. Sorry, thrival is not a word, I don't think. Anyway, if you really learn to meditate, well, I know if you really learn to meditate, that you can gain some of the most amazing knowledge and information and learn so much more about yourself and hear the honest truth from more of a solid source than your friends or your partners or your family. I'm not saying that those or that information from those people is not valuable. I'm saying this is from a more pure source. There are times, yes, when meditation is difficult. I talked about this in the last podcast, I believe, is that like over the weekend I had been working so hard and for so long, and new jobs and all kinds of things in life, that by the time I hit the weekend, I was sleeping, 12 hours on Friday Friday night, and Saturday night I was going to bed at like 6:30 at night and sleeping for 12 hours, which is unusual for me. Even though I tried to meditate, that obviously wasn't going to work because I was just sleeping. But tonight was different because I came back from work fairly early, or on time, early for most people's ideal of work. And I took myself a little nap, had some dinner, and I was going to go out and exercise some more, but I thought, I am nice and awake, and I just feel like I need to connect tonight. And I laid down on my bed, I connected, and oh my goodness, there were some really, really interesting things that came through. Once again, can't prove them, but I'm not really worried about proving them to you. I just want to see if I can remember some of the things that I learned or heard through this meditation. I'm sure I'll leave some things out. I laid down, and I, just like always, I tend to use meditation for a lot of different things. Sometimes I ask a question, or I go in purposely to connect with something or some knowledge that I want to know, ask a question. Other times I just kind of sit there and see what it is that I'm going to be shown. Sometimes I put out intentions. I kind of did a little bit of all of that. So when I first started the meditation, I wasn't exactly sure what route or what approach I was going to take, which seems kind of odd when you do a meditation, because if you're thinking about thinking or not thinking, then you're really thinking. But after a while, when you do this, it's not that difficult, or as difficult, I should say. And so I said, you know what? I think what I want to start out with is I would really like to meet or understand or know who the creator is, or the architect, or who is or what is responsible for this creation and all creation. I know that's a big ask, right? It's a really big ask. And I found myself kind of in this, I guess the best way to describe it is I could see on the horizon in my consciousness. This all happens in my consciousness. It's, maybe I was leaving my body to do this. I don't know. But the way I understand it and experience it, it feels like it's happening between my ears, in my mind, in my consciousness. And I remember kind of approaching this like gaseous cloud kind of thing. And it was like swirling, and it was kind of a white and gray cloudy thing. And it seemed to be within this vast space of nothing. I don't know how else to describe it. It was like almost like a vacuum, right? With just complete darkness in the background, but this cloud kind of swirling around. And as I kind of walked or moved into this gaseous cloud, then the voice of whomever was speaking to me, the thought transference, I don't know who that was or what it was, but it doesn't matter to me. It could be what most people would call God, or could be my spirit guides. It could be all kinds of things. But whoever or whatever stepped up to answer the questions and guide me through this was talking to me through my consciousness, I guess you'd say. Like telepathy, I guess would be the best way to put it. I was getting these thoughts in this direction, in this communication. And I found myself asking about, I was talking about longevity and, how we experience life. Do we get to choose to stay as long as we want? What is the purpose of this short life? As I was in this cloudy area, the first thing that I got out of that conversation or experience was that the reason that lives these days in our reality, which we'll circle back on, are relatively short is because whoever created this, which we'll also circle back on, the creation of this reality was originally designed for very, very long lives. It's for a soul or a spirit to come in and experience things, because spirits or souls, they don't know what it's like to have a sunset or see a sunset, or how it feels to have the sun warming their skin, or how it feels to be sad, mad, and love, all those things. And so it gives the spiritual part of us in a way to experience things. So what I was further told about that was that originally the lives were really long and gave much experience and so basically you could come in one time perhaps into this reality and get all the experiences that you wanted to, kind of exist as long as you wanted to. But what was realized was that the problem with having an eternal life in the way we know life is that there's no expediency or hurry or urgency to ever become something more than simply existing. Basically, what I was told is death is the best invention of life. And so it gives us the urgency and the purpose to hurry up and to really push to become what we want to be, who we want to be, how we want to evolve, all that in a very short time. And without that, we tend to get lazy, and it's like, yeah, I don't have to hurry to do that because I'm going to be here for a long time. And I guess I said, well, that makes a lot of sense. And so what I did ask, though, is it something that we can choose to stay as long as we want, and to have, if we're enjoying this reality and this life and the things that go along with it, is it possible to stay as long as we want? And the answer I got was yes. And the answer I got, without going into great detail, was, well, that's going to require some upgrades. And so you have to be prepared for that. It may not be pleasant or fun. I'm like, okay, well, I'm game for that. And I don't know what that's going to entail. Or anyway, that's what I got out of that. And then I found myself sitting in this dark space. And they brought me to what they called the point of infinite energy, or the infinite point of energy, point of attention. There we go. And it was like a little blue orb that was glowing, and kind of like a little internal blue flame was in this like glass ball, sort of. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Most people would describe that as orbs that they see in this world, this reality. I was told that this is my point of attention, and that it contains the possibilities of absolutely everything, infinite knowledge, infinite everything that's ever existed, all power of the universe sits in this one point of attention. And I asked, I'm like, well, why just one? They're like, oh, there's many, endless, unlimited, eternal amount of points of attention that come together in a lot of ways. And everybody's having everybody. That's a strange way to describe that. Every soul, every entity, we'll just use a person for lack of a better word. Every being, okay, there we go. Every being has the ability to experience anything they want. And they have infinite amounts of information, wisdom, possibilities that they can to experience those. I'm having a hard time putting this into words, as you can hear, but I'll do the best I can. I was asking about this reality. The question I had is, and so does this world that I live in, was this all created by me or by my energy? My point of attention? Is this something that everything that's in this world, this reality, is just simply me creating all of this for the experiences? And what I was shown and told was very interesting. I never really looked at it this way. I have seen the Valley of Souls, which kind of is like seeing a bunch of these orbs, different colors, being guarded by huge angels. That's a different story. I've told that one before. What I saw was this huge, I guess, like glass dome that looked like a dot matrix printer had made it. In other words, there was a huge collection of these points of attention all bound together for the purpose of creating this reality. Many points of attention came together to produce a construct that could be used for any and every point of attention, person, energy, that's hard to describe, to have experiences like you and I know, the struggles of human life, the joys of human life, just everything about human life was put together by a construct of many, many points of attention. And it really was, and they told me it was like sort of like a dot matrix printer. If you don't know what that is, it's like a whole bunch of dots that are so closely put together in different shades and colors that it creates words or pictures or things like that, different from our laser printers. But it is that bringing together of a lot of individual points of attention to create something like the reality we live in. And I was also told that it has been here so long that is almost like a permanent place now. And it's a place where anything that we believe is real actually happens. If you believe the earth is flat, they told me, and everything you see and experience will support that. And if you think the world is round, you think that everything that's out there is real in space and all that stuff, then that's what your reality will support. And I did actually ask about that. And I said, so is everything that we see outside or what we think is outside of our world, space and planets and all that, is that a reality? Is that something that's really out there? And that's really when they brought in the whole dot matrix and described the construct. And they said that was put in place for our experiences. And so in a lot of ways, it's almost like a virtual reality, a spiritual reality, or I don't even know what you call that. But it was quite amazing to see and experience. And once again, I can't prove that. I'm sure I'm missing some things. I'll probably remember them after I'm done with this podcast. But I found that it was just the most amazing experience to see and to hear all these things and to understand at least what I'm being told. And it is very hard, as you can tell, for me to put things into words. If you could just be there and see and experience what I was, you also find that it's very difficult to put it into words. And like I say many, many times, if even a very sliver or small part of what I experience is true, then so much amazing experiences to have outside of ourselves. Why wouldn't we want to connect and travel and out of our own consciousness or out of our body in a very safe space, if you will, and have these experiences? And why not? I mean, there's so many things to learn and to correlate to this world. Like I said, I can't prove these things, and I don't really care to prove these things. I'm just relaying them. And it's not anything that anybody out there hasn't talked about. Well, maybe, I don't know if they've talked about the dot matrix thing. Maybe I'm the first, I don't know. You too can have these experiences. I challenge you guys, I really do challenge you guys to stretch yourself. Learn to meditate. Learn to take journeys like this, to understand yourself better, and take this information you get and use it to improve yourself. Now, like I said, I can't prove this and I'm not going to, but the thing is, it really brings to value many things that I already believed and helps me support the things that I believe. And this is why I think you get shown these things. And we're not always ready to see these things. When I first started to meditate, I didn't get all this glorious and luxurious kind of information or visuals or downloads or experiences. It takes time. You have to spoon feed a baby at first until they're old enough to have steak and potatoes and things like that. It's the same with humans. We can't understand things all the time, and we have to start small and build up to it, just like anything else. And so I feel like I'm at that point where now I can be shown just about anything, and it doesn't scare me. It doesn't keep me from doing meditation again. And like I said, I'm sure that I have forgotten some things that I saw in this meditation or experienced in this meditation, but that's okay. I think the basics of it were brought forward. I challenge you guys, once again, learn to meditate. You will not be sorry. You will not be sorry. And if you need some advice and you need somebody to guide you through it, you can look me up. You can also find guided meditation. There's so many ways to do it. Do your research, try it out. I tried many ways. I finally figured out what worked for me, and now it's just amazing. All right, I will quit talking about all these things. Do me a favor and go to my website when you get a chance, lifebymazak.com, LIFEBYMAZAK.com. I have a contact page. I look forward to working with you guys, talking with you guys, hearing your experiences, helping you experience more things. And we all learn together. I learn from you, you learn from me, and we can all make this reality a much better place. We can't entirely change it, but we can change it with our piece of the puzzle. I look forward to hearing from you. You will always hear from me many, many more times. Stay strong and live your life.